Good morning, friends, family, and future friends. Today we're going to be having a look at a game played between Leenock and Keen. Leenock, of course, the old school MLG champion, the man, the myth, the legend, who I think did the Gangnam style dance after he won MLG. Maybe Dallas or something like that? I can't remember which MLG he won. And of course, Keen, the man famous for clapping after winning a game in the GSL very early on in his career. So both of these guys very famous from doing funny things early on in their career after big wins. Keen hasn't really performed that well in the past few years, and I think the same could be said for Leenock. I think Leenock quit or maybe even went to the military for a bit. Felt like he was gone for a while, and he's back. He hasn't really made that big of an impact ever since he returned. I do believe he is right now in the GSL Code A qualifier matches. So the way that the GSL Code A works is that you need to play one best of 5 in order to get into the top 16 in Code S, and I believe he has to play that one. I can't quite remember who he's playing against, but I remember looking at it and thinking, well, that's going to be real rough Leenock, so I think he has a pretty decent opponent here. Keen opening up with a Reaper, and we'll follow it up with straight Factory Barracks. Second gas going down as well, so we're looking at a more aggressive opener here out of Keen, perhaps following this up with some Banshees. But of course also completely possible that he'll go into battle cruisers. We see the swap of the barracks and the factory here. Barracks will fly very close to the starboard and most likely will start attack. Forward base is being taken here for Leenock. As always, usually on this map. Line base just not quite as powerful. It's such a beautiful base. Can get that creep going already. Maybe even start working on the rocks a little bit if you're lucky. To see this Reaper, ambitious one. Started attacking the hatchery and hope that one day his friends will be able to finish the job that he started. Actually did a crap ton of damage. 1125 HP remaining. It's 1500 HP usually a hatchery, so 300 and what did I say it was? Yeah, 375 damage or so by a Reaper on a hatchery. It's not bad at all. These two cars are actually gonna start walking in right here. Usually not the biggest fan of this type of move, if the Reaper decides to suicide down the cliff into a couple of queens. But these cars are actually getting a fair amount on big drone pool. If he gets 1-2 more shots in, I think he could go up to, yeah, 6 drones for 2 cars and a Hellion. The nice thing here for Leenock is that, has he actually not built a single link yet this game? Okay, he lost 4 links earlier, I didn't quite see how. Oh my god, the next 2 cars are also going in. 13 workers going down in trade of 4 cars. I think that's a good trade there for Keen, honestly, to start with. The only problem, of course, is going to be that now he doesn't have as many cars with his Banshees to really get any major damage done. Leenock needs to start getting spores now, so that's going to cost him a fair amount as well. It's going to cost him 3 drones and a decent amount of money. I'm kind of liking the position here for Keen. Leenock struggling to get more queens out, as he just doesn't have the cash available. Usually you want to maybe go up to 7 or 8 queens. Maybe even 9 queens is something we've seen, especially some of the European Zergs. Oh my god. Keen isn't done yet. This time, well, I thought there's just not enough drones to kill for 4 Hellions here. 9 drones immediately on the way again. Yeah, 4 workers going down for 4 Hellions. That's a drone per car. I'm completely fine with this. If I'm Leenock. It's the first trade where I'm not completely happy. Especially because he's going into an armory. If you're gonna go into an armory, you want to have some amount of Hellions to be able to turn into Hellbats. Not quite the case here though, as that first Banshee also didn't manage to achieve much. I think it got a single drone kill, then got pushed away. Spire on the way immediately, Overseer going down, and Factory number 2 and 3 have started as well here for Keen. Who's going to be going into Mech, and seeing that this is a vehicle plating being researched, we're going to be going into Cyclone Hellion most likely. Double Banshee into Cyclone Hellion is not something we see every day. Most of the time we just see battlecruiser openers into Mech, honestly. So you do need some type of air presence in order to stop Swarm Host, and I don't think two Banshees is quite enough. Luckily for Keen, Leenock is opening up with a Spire rather than going into Swarm Host Roach. These 6 Hellions are gonna try to take out this fort base. That actually would be kind of a big deal if this fort base gets taken out, which I think it might just be, as there's no real creep connecting the 3rd and the 4th. This means that any extra drones right now that Leenock will be building will simply have no base to mine from. which is very painful. I like this push a lot. Denying creep early on to make sure that he can get the 4th base as well. I think he just lost one of the 2 Banshees here. 2 Thors are being researched, or being built, not researched. He's gonna go for a Thor drop actually, but that's gonna get nipped in the butt as Mutas are out already. And the Thors will become more of a defensive tool rather than an aggressive one. 7 drones have gone down at the same time here, so even though a 4th base isn't done yet, perhaps a couple of extra drones will be helpful here for Leenock. So we see a 6 Ling run by is going to do a little bit too much damage for my liking. 3-4 workers are going to go down, 4 more Lings show up as well. And yeah, 2 workers and a full worker pool, but the Lings stay alive, so nice move there from the Korean Zerg. Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier, and I legitimately think that Keen is the most well-known StarCraft player. I don't think people know him, like, people won't know him by name, but he's been the most viewed StarCraft player, because his GIF with the sunglasses on and the clapping probably is one of the most popular, is probably the most popular StarCraft GIF, and I think it made it into the mainstream as well, while not many other StarCraft things made it into the mainstream, at least the internet mainstream, I should say. Fort Hatchery finally is about to finish up, but we're 8 minutes into the game already. 2 Thors managing to completely stop any type of Mutalisk pressure that Leenock was hoping to put on. Leenock continuing his Mutalisk production, and will be going into 8 gas momentarily, or I can only imagine him going into 8 gas. He's flying around with a decent chunk of Mutas here. It's 17. Oh, this doesn't look like 17. Probably a couple more. Yep, they're just flying around the map, trying to join up with the main force. Roaches are going to be the follow-up unit of choice here for Leenock. He's also getting 2 Evo chambers, and most likely will start his +1/+1 soon. 2 Cyclones go down immediately. Couple of cars are also gonna get taken out. Thors are trying to get into position to defend everything. Infernal pre-igniter gets denied here, and the Mech field accelerator does complete. Mid 2 Thor still out though. I don't think these Mutas should be able to do too much more. The main issue right now for Keenis is that he isn't aware that there's roaches on the way. So he continues his Thor production thinking, hey, I believe we're going to be seeing more and more Mutalisks join the field. While in reality it's going to be roaches. Against roaches you obviously want some tanks. Right now Keen in full anti-Mutalisk mode, getting 2 more mines, has a couple of Cyclones, and of course 2 more Thors in production as well. These Thors will be able to take out these Mutalisks. Right now I think Keen should be realizing, hey, this is the same amount of Mutalisks as last time. Perhaps a tank here or there wouldn't hurt me. A bunch of roaches coming across the map. Rather than going for carapace and range attacks, it's going to be melee and range, which means that he can still easily transition into Banelings later on. Let's see how well prepared Keen is. Well, the Thors seem to be good enough for now. So the Mutalisks dive into the natural. 1 mine fires. A lot of these SCVs are going to be going down against the Mutalisk. And I think Keen is pretty happy with this. I think Leenock's pretty happy with the amount of damage he did here. He doesn't have the highest worker count, but these roaches are still going in. 2 Thors getting taken out, and the current Thor count is actually still at 4. Thought it would be way lower, but I guess 2 just popped out. Thor gets dropped forward. Needs to be careful that he doesn't lose it. Pick up. There we go. Good micro out of the Korean Terran. As 18 more roaches. I wouldn't have minded seeing 15 drones or so being built, and then going into a more Baneling focused army. Perhaps even going completely back into Ling Bane Muta, really trying to deny these outside bases. Now there's of course still a decent amount of Thor, so I also understand that you don't want to build too many more Mutas, but I think getting extra drones probably would have been a better call than getting these extra roaches at this point. I just don't see a way in which you can really kill your opponent right now. 3 Hellions making their way across the map. Level 2 vehicle plating finished up as well, 10 minutes into the game, so that's rather fast. Thors once again will be able to push away these Mutalisks as tanks are painfully out of position for this roach attack. Sensor tower won't be up in time. Banelings don't have speed yet, and all these units do have +1. Let's see what the Banelings can do. Well, so far not all that much. They're gonna be going for these Mules, and SCVs will be able to get 1. I think this has been a pretty cost-efficient trade so far here for... how do I pull up the thing? I have no clue. There's like a little thing that shows you how good the trade has been. I'm not quite aware of how that works, so we'll figure that out another time. But I think this trade was not bad, even though the overall units lost is still pretty close. As you can see, 9.8k against 9.5. I think those Banelings were very cost inefficient, taking out a couple of mineral units for a crap ton of gas. Now, of course, it's completely fine for Leenock to currently be cost inefficient because, let's be real, he's completely outmining his opponent by about 1300 minerals a minute, 600 gas as well. So if he can keep on the pressure, I'm completely okay with this. Couple more biles raining down as well. No tanks are in position to push back those Ravagers. The Muralisks have completely disappeared from the map at this point, and I don't think tank production would be a luxury at this point for Keen. Still adding in a crap ton of Cyclones as well. Wait, does he have 2 reactors? Okay. Very odd setup. Usually you see 4 tech lab, 1 reactor, but Keen going for a heavier Hellion count. Yeah, continuing into Cyclone I think is a bad call. We're gonna need more tanks here to deal with the high Roach count. I think Keen is believing perhaps a bit too much in that there might be Mutas later on again, but that's not the case at all. This planetary is going to get sniped down and the tank is going to get piled as well. 8 workers going down, 10 workers going down, and with that base, I think Leenock's in a fantastic position here, and he might even just be looking to pick up this game. His creep threat has been rather mediocre for how little pressure there has been on him. He's been in constant control, and well, Keen has never really gone across the map ever. Creep threats should be right now probably hitting the fort base, should be going over here. We have a double Hellbat drop. There's spines already. Yeah, Leenock is pretty okay. He's in a very okay position even. Still only on 79 workers, which isn't the highest amount of workers. Very often against Mech, you see Zergs going up to 95-ish, 96. Rainer likes to go up to 105, 106. Now, I wouldn't recommend that unless you're very confident in your ability to fight well with smaller armies. Never started Igniter, pre-flame Igniter. Pre-Igniter, Infernal pre-Igniter. There we go. This is, what's it called? Infernal pre-Igniter, yeah, the Blue Flame Hellion. Words remain difficult for me. The upgrades for Keen have been going very fast though. This has all been out of a single armory. Just consistently... No, actually, never mind. It's been double armory. Oops. Vehicle weapons level 2 about to finish up. And +3 plating is already done. So it's going to be 2-3 upgrades. And that's kind of scary for Leenock. There still might be potential for a push. 14 workers went down on the side of Leenock as well. So these Hellbats going in here did a little more. We have more Hellions going in right now. This could be dangerous. Leenock decides to rebuild 28 links rather than rebuilding any of these drones. He's moving in as well with a big Roach Ravager force and will be able to take out a lot of these tanks. 3 tanks still. Oh my god, the target fire out of Leenock hasn't been great. There was 1 tank with 10 HP shooting the entire time through. This trade was pretty awful. 24k lost resources right now for Leenock, 20k for the Terran player. More drones are going down. 16 roaches, no drones are being rebuilt, which means that the income, yes, still in favor of Leenock. Right now, I don't think it's going to be in favor of Leenock forever. Once this fort base manages to land, do we have a couple of mules ready to drop? We have a couple of mules. We have 3. Yeah, we have about 4. Almost 5-6 mules. It's going to give a big boost into the income. Of course, these SCVs being capable of mining also is a pretty decent deal. Because right now there's just a bunch of SCVs doing nothing. Leenock really needs to start droning up a little bit again. He's undersaturated on, well, basically every single base right now. Lacks 2 workers here, lacks 3 workers here, 5 workers here, 4 workers here, and about 6 workers here. Add that all together, you can get a 2-digit number. About 15, 16, maybe 17 even. Didn't really count them. 16 Muras coming out with +2. So this is a switch. Now there is no Thor. Well, there is a single Thor out actually. 2 tanks in the back here. I don't think this is the fight that Leenock really wants to take. I think it's good to force the planetary to lift and to cancel the planetary, but I don't think you actually want to straight up engage into this. You're not going to be getting cost efficient trades, and if you're only on 60 workers, you do want to be getting somewhat cost efficient trades. 54 workers right now. I'm not sure. Oh, it's the 2 Banshees. Have these 2 Banshees been rebuilt? He just rebuilt 2 random Banshees, flew in and killed 20 workers. That's amazing. He needs to build more drones. He needed to build more drones like half a year ago. Now he still needs to build more drones. If this Muta switch doesn't do a lot of damage, I think Leenock's in a crap ton of trouble here. They do have +2, which is big. There's only a single Thor out and, what, 3 Cyclones. So there's not a whole lot of army ready. On the other hand, I mean, the upgrades are good. We have 2-3 upgrades. We have 3 more Thors on the way. I think a single Thor will be able to deal a lot of damage here against these Mutalisks. I don't think you can magic box this, can you? Well, Leenock surely is going to try. There's 3 more Thors out. You definitely can magic box it. Oh my god. This Thor is going to get destroyed. Did even a single Muta go down? I think 2-3 Mutas went down. 3 Thors are about to pop as Leenock is pushing in. You have like a weird... Well, it's not really a base trade, but just a constant killing of each other's workers. They're not really trading bases though. These Thors, oh my god, they're doing so much damage. And now this turret also will be able to take out 2 more of those Mutalisks. Maybe even 3. No. Stays with 2. 10 Mutalisks remain. 1 more on the way. 8 more drones on the way. Look at this. This is ridiculous. This Banshee has 20 kills. Every single one of those kills has been drones. And now with these mules mining, actually the income for Keen is a lot better. Unit lost still in favor of Keen as well. Yeah, we're gonna need way more drones here. I don't understand how Leenock can be floating so much money. Does he? He has not a single queen. As 4 more cars show up as well. 33 workers have gone down in the past minute and a half or so, and they're not quite done yet. The Ravagers will try to defend this base and will deny any further worker losses. 40 workers is the end number. As these Hellions do end up getting cleaned up. There's a... What is this flying around? 11 Mutalisks. 2 Vipers. What? I guess they want to grab maybe Cyclones or something like that. This sounds really cool if you have like 25 Mutas, so you can pick off like a Thor, but... If you, if you have 9 Mutas, 10 Mutas, 11 Mutas... It's not going to be great. These Ravagers are doing a good job at harassing, I guess. There's nothing really here to catch them. And with the Vipers here, perhaps you can even... I think the Viper should be used separate from the Mutalisk and more in combination with these Ravagers. Can we get, yep, a couple of abducts here on the Banshees. I kind of do like that. Abduct here on the Cyclone as well will get taken out. This is something that I do endorse. A lot of money in the bank for Leenock though. He's not building anything. Look at that. 16 larvae in the bank right now. 19 larvae in the bank. And he's just simply not doing anything. This is absolutely ridiculous. He's just waiting. Just build a couple of queens, buddy. You have so much money. Instead he's focusing on this fight, but he doesn't really need to engage into this. He is gonna end up doing it. He's losing a lot of units here. I think he's kind of throwing the game away here. Look at the money. 20 roaches. Why? Mutalisk, I think. 16 Mutas. He had money for 16 Mutas. Instead, he's going to be going into 14 roaches. He doesn't have more. Well, he still has 5 larvae. He's just constantly floating 2k resources while he's barely mining 2k resources a minute. Well, 3k resources a minute, actually. This makes absolutely no sense to me. This is just insanity. There's a lot of roaches in the map right now. Did the Vipers die? No, Vipers are still alive. 6 drones are going down here. The Hellion Cyclone tank army is moving forward. It's not like Keen's income is that great either. Where are the Vipers? Okay, they're in the back. Can probably pull in a couple of these units as the roach count is high enough. There we go. Nope, what? He's engaging into it. Okay, Blinding Cloud. Not the worst idea, perhaps. A single abduct as well will be able to... No, won't even get that Cyclone. Mines. Well, one of them connects with a roach. The Vipers will have to return back home. We have the... Oh my god. Are these 2 new Banshees? Yep, I think they are. There is a Spore here this time. Still going to be able to get at least a couple of kills. 30 new Mutas have been produced. Seemingly out of thin air. These Cyclones, yeah, they're just going to be able to kite these roaches forever. 2 roaches going down. The rest of the roaches will need to find their way back home as these drones get sacrificed for the greater good. Mutas just flying around. I think he needs to flank this somehow, I think. Yeah, that's exactly... Oh my god, 2 mines getting big shots off, and now these Cyclones are trying to tank enough Mutalisk shots, and I think they're doing a fantastic job. Cyclones win that battle. Keen superior supply. equal worker count. Problem is, of course, that he has 3 orbitals. And once this orbital lands, can throw down a couple more mules, can start sending some SCVs there as well. Keen is just winning this game. This has been a rather silly game, I have to admit. A rather silly game indeed. Long distance mining from, well, what should be a 5th base, because this 5th base was taken out. Once again, these 2 Vipers have provided a lot of value, but perhaps not quite enough value. Perhaps not being used correctly here. Cyclones are going to scan this and will be able to finally land. The Ling goes down. A couple of mules should land immediately as well. And I think Leenock here is to make his final stand. Is it possible for Leenock? Let's just have a look at the numbers. I think the answer is going to be no. 2 Cyclones for free. It's not a bad trade to start with. The problem is he's gonna need like... He should have been doing this the entire time. Or he should have just droned up. Or maybe both. Like just walking around with Ravager Viper and just abducting units. There was nothing against the Vipers. There was no Vikings, no Ghosts, no nothing. Which means Vipers abducting stuff is just really, really powerful. Especially if you have a bigger army than your opponent. Even now, he's not even trading that poorly. He could have been droning up behind that earlier. At this point, droning up probably is a thing of the past. Because he only has 27 workers. What did he just kill? Did you? I don't know what he just killed. Oh. Ooh, painful. Viper goes down against a mine. 1 Mura very low as well. Turret here will be able to zone out everything that Leenock has. And I think, yeah, Leenock should just step out, honestly, at this point. 2 more Hellions will be going into this new base. And at this point, yeah. Every drone that Leenock loses is difficult to replace. He just doesn't have that much income. He has 700 income per minute. 3 workers going down. Yep, that's a great trade for Keen, who's outmining his opponent twofold. And Keen doesn't really need to do anything. Like, he can just sit at home, and then whenever his opponent attacks him, that's when Keen can just send out a couple of Hellions, or... I mean, in theory, he can also just move out with Cyclone Hellion. I was gonna say Sally and Cyclone. A couple of creep tumors get taken out. I think Keen is just preparing for the future push. He says, okay, buddy, like, they're just gonna take you out. Raven being built. Maybe for burrowed roaches, burrowed infestors. Might be the only option that Leenock really has. Leenock has been creating more drones again, going up to 37. The problem is by the time Leenock will have decent enough mining and enough bases to get an eco lead, Keen is going to be maxed already. And Leenock simply won't be. There's a single infestor on the way right now. This Overlord's gonna get taken out. Not the biggest deal, because I don't think in this game Leenock will ever hit maxed again. Yeah, this hatchery's not gonna work out either. It's a bit of a hidden base, which I do like, because I don't really see a way in which he takes a non-hidden base. So we're just gonna go down 2 workers to start with. 3 more fall. Once again, a very cost-efficient Hellion. And against the Zerg that is mining at this point only 1/3 of your minerals. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Losing 5 workers is especially 1/3 of what, maybe 1/3, 1/4 of what Leenock is mining a minute. You only had to waste a single Hellion for that. That's a pretty good trade offer. Orbital is going to be flying here towards a 6th base location. So with 3 orbitals, he managed to cover a lot of ground. Raven coming in handy. Yep, there comes another scan, and I think at this point, this should just be kind of easy now. There's too many Cyclones. Well, decent Ravager force as well, but tank in the back with a single shot will be able to assist enough that this gets absolutely cleaned up. Now the Cyclones are moving forward, and I think Leenock can't really do much but tap out at this point. 3 Ravagers remaining. More Cyclones than Ravagers, more Thors, or as many Thors as there's Roach / Ravager currently on the map. I mean, these Biles, they don't only need to connect, but they need to gain splash radius of an entire screen, and even then still it would probably not be good enough. Decent Muralisk Viper harass here, but I mean 17, 21, 22 workers going down, 15 workers remain for Leenock, as Leenock will need to fight the bullet. HarstemCasts out. GG gets called and Keen wins the game on Lightshade. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and we'll see you all next time for hopefully more videos. Bye bye.